Guys, you've read the title of the video. You know what I'm about to go into. So, let's rip this bandit off as fast as...
Kinji Inafune left Capcom to start his own company. 4 Mega Man games ended up getting cancelled, including the anticipated Legends 3 for the 3DS. Fans were outraged and cried, and rightfully so. Which is why fans looked forward and threw money at Inafune's Kickstarter to Mighty No. 9 back in 2013, and it surpassed every goal it set. Later, that would come back to haunt them. An animated series was announced, and even talks of a motion picture. Another Kickstarter was put up from Inafune, and we kept getting delays on Mighty No. 9. The title started to become infamous for its pushbacks. All 3 of them. But there was a long gap between them, so it only felt like an eternity. The second delay just sounds like a lie. We are finished with the single-player mode. It is good to go. Unless you have a Wii U, then screw you! As interpreted by Wii U owners. But we wanted to work on the multiplayer mode. A feature I haven't been able to try, and honestly, I haven't heard of one good reason to do it except out of curiosity. The excuse for the third delay was... nothing. And I don't mean the translator's interpretation of, it's better than nothing, which is not what Inafune said. He actually said there was no excuse, and wants to own up to all of the faults, hate, disappointments, and any other form of negativity it can have. A lot of that hate came from the last trailer the game had before it came out. And don't worry, I won't show it or go any further into it. You're welcome.
Even with all the hate and negativity surrounding the game, I wanted to believe that it could be at least functional, decent, competent, average, smooth.
Look at that frame rate again. What do you think we got? And before you ask, no, I don't have the game for any other system, and honestly, I don't want to pay any more money for it considering how much I backed it up with. How much did you back it up? Oh, I backed up about... And here's my backer name in the credits! Should I be sad or glad that you can't see it? I don't regret backing this Kickstarter since I wanted a Mega Man game and there was a lot of promise and potential. I just wish I didn't put down more than $20 for it. The extra bonuses were completely not worth it. I think by the tone of how this video has been going, it's pretty easy to see that things haven't been too great for this project. It started with hype, credentials, and expectations that fell short on nearly everything. But maybe there's something redeeming in the game. So let's go through Mighty Disappointment 9. Delay number 9. How the Mighty Have Fallen. Take number 9. I ran out of puns, let's move on.
System ready? Go!
Robots are ready to rumble! Oh wait, they've gone berserk. But as luck would have it, Mighty No. 9, or Beck, isn't affected. In fact, he can snap them out of the state of Bender's dream after he's beaten the circuits out of them. He also gains their ability that's very vaguely told how they can be used. You could say there's more to the story, but it's either spoiler territory or uninteresting like Business and Scared, Business and It's Everyone's Fault But Mine, Fi with a Voice, and The World is Ending, but let me do my work. So gameplay, run, shoot, jump, grab ledges, dash and lower dash, and that's very important to remember for this part. After hitting enemies enough times, you can dash right through them to get a higher score, or even an increase to speed, attack, etc., or even refill your gauge for the mighty weapons, which also refill on their own after enough time has passed. I kinda like that. Stages are your typical point A to point boss, with their own identities such as high winds, don't touch the highway, annoying frame rate issues, and countless cheap deaths. And yes, it has the choose any one of them stage select, so it has the blueprint and basics of the Mega Man series. Unfortunately, it doesn't have its fun and satisfying factor, but before getting there, I want to take on the biggest challenge in the game, finding things I liked about it.
System ready? Go!
This feels like finding a hay in a needle stack. It's painful, and you have to wonder why I would even do it in the first place. Much like playing this game. Being fair has its cost. So let me start off with blazing through my enemies. I enjoy weakening them and then finishing them off with a dash to get encouragement and bonuses. The dashing mechanic does have some issues, but when it comes to clearing so many at a time, it feels pretty good, not gonna lie. Second are the mighty numbers, not their fights or their personalities that, honestly, feel like most of them work better on paper. Avi is the best, but the fact that I don't kill them, I do actually help them, and by returning them to their senses, they will show up in the level against the mighty number they are strong against, and take care of something. That is pretty nice, and even better later on after you save them, you see them all working together. No wonder Beck didn't want to hurt them. These guys work like a family, and I wouldn't want our next get-together to be in a scrap pile. And I'll say I do like about half of the weapons. The ice for slowing down enemies, the blade for quick hard hits, the shock so it does the damage while I can focus on evading attacks. Also because it looks like I'm attacking them with my mind. and Crash Bomb 4.0. Holy crap, this thing is sweet! It's an attachable remote control bomb that causes huge amounts of destruction and usually slowdowns. Sadly, that was all I could enjoy.
System ready? Go!
And now, what the thumbnail promised, let's start off with the levels.
Concept and layout wise, it's mostly okay. They try to change things up with hazards and settings, but the actual look and feel of them is another story. Don't really expect anything new here, it's all a been there, done that in better games. Except maybe Shade's level, but I found it more annoying than interesting with its back and forth hide and seek gimmick. Let's take a look at the highway level, and their slow moving cars for platforms. Why does it look like the background and the foreground have the same color? That can make it a little hard to focus on making it to the platform I need to reach, you know? In fact, the presentation leaves a lot to be desired. Animations on characters, especially Beck and these things, look too stiff and not even in a way that would have charm like, say, Mr. Game & Watch or Beck's older stepbrother. The cutscenes feel more like a chore than a reward, and most of the characters only have about 2 to 3 expressions. That's our backer money at work for ya. The visuals won't hold up either. I wonder how many Pizza and Cheeto comments I'll see. Don't let me down, guys. Even enemy designs can be rather forgetful, except for the spiritual successor to the Sniper Joe enemy. I've always hated that one. Where's my traffic cone head? Yeah, I'm on the same bandwagon that thinks the game's presentation would have been better with more of a hand-drawn 2D art style. While I enjoy the dash mechanic, it's time to address some of those issues I mentioned earlier. It's gonna take some time to get used to its physics. By that I also mean not constantly dashing to make up for slow speed, and thus running into something and then death. Then there are times where I think that Dash is my best friend, only to stab me in the back and leave me for dead in the gutter. And it stole my wallet! At times it's difficult to tell if I can reach a platform by leaving the control stick alone, or if I'll overshoot it because I thought I learned my lesson the last time. This little part right here took a couple of my lives because A, I actually didn't know about the lower dash until the hint came up after my first try, and B, it's hard to judge the actual distance you have to make that dash of faith. Nope, I don't feel anything in the back of my head. Don't think this is the only time you'll encounter a cheap game over or 20. I don't think I've ever encountered so many unfair deaths in my life, not even in online laggy matches of other games. The worst ones are from the one-hit kills. I'm used to my eternal resting place being a bed of spikes and nobody ever finding my corpse, but at least they had the decency to let you know where they are. What do I mean? That nearly every stage has an instant "you die" that tends to happen beyond your control. Once again, I'm used to that, but they always had the good sportsmanship to show themselves and put up a fair fight. On that note, even the Mighty Numbers went in on that action. Yes, 2 of the other 8 Mighty Numbers have one-hit kill moves, and Pyro's is just the worst. In fact, I couldn't beat him unless he never triggered that move, or if I had Avi's weapon. The other numbers just get a new attack instead. All of them are triggered after you've beaten them to half of their senses. I'll be honest, I do like it when bosses throw something new your way, and while I'm kind of okay with the conversation going on because it can add extra tension and conflict to the battle, I definitely see how this can get in the way for other players. The real problem is a couple of them feel next to impossible without their weaknesses, and in Avi's case, if he spends too much time off screen, he can recover the damage you've done to him. I don't know if he's cheating or just being smart. It's not like we've never seen this stuff before, but with everything else you have to deal with, a line was crossed somewhere. Oh wait, that would be this part. The absolute unforgivable plague on this game, unless they come out with a patch, is if you're playing on the Wii U. The frame rate hates you, it hates your mother, it hates your friends, it hates that burger you had for lunch, it hates everything there is about you. Many of the distant controller snapping moments I've had with the game are the result of the frame rate just not doing its job and cutting in and out of frames whenever it feels like it, or some cheap stupid knockback that felt completely unjustified. I can't tell you how much I loathe Pyro Stage, because look at this! You don't even have time to properly plan ahead. You just have to rush it and pray you make it through the collapsing towers, the fireballs that knock you back into said collapsing towers or pits, the platforms that give way, and the frame rate is just laughing at you the whole time. You want to see the worst the frame rate can get? That wasn't edited, but I will show it to you again in slow motion so you can soak it in. Following your demise are the load screens that are there to help kick you while you're down. Why don't we have a quick recap? You have an abundance of cheap game overs, too easy and too difficult bosses, an unexciting story with characters that don't push it along until the near end, a frame rate that wants to see you bleed, and load screens that pour salt into the wound. How could anyone think this was ready to go? And it still hasn't loaded!
What is your major malfunction, Private Beck?
System ready? Go!
Kenji and Inafune just wanted to make a game that was fun and entertaining. Hopefully Red Ash turns out to be better. But I can't help but feel that Beck's future could be in some serious trouble.
They wanted to go all out with this new franchise, but unless it becomes another Sonic Boom where the game is brushed into its grave, but the cartoon is entertaining, Beck may not have much of a chance. It'll take a lot to win gamers over with this new series, and to be honest, I still wish them the best of luck. But don't expect me to be funding the next one. I didn't need the game to be innovative or groundbreaking. I just wanted some of that creative level design like we saw in Mega Man 9 and 10. In the shadows of its disappointment, you can actually see a decent Mega Man-ish game. And even after beating it, a small little voice in my head actually said, "Hey, let's play it again to do even better and faster." Just like I would after a new Mega Man game. Then I remembered Pyro's stage and said, "You're an idiot! There's only a small amount of enjoyment to be had, and frustration without the thrill of accomplishment for the rest. If you're still curious to play this game, then please don't do it on the Wii U, that's all I have to say. A little bit of my Mega Man craving was filled, but mostly with inner tears and screaming. Should there actually be a patch to fix the frame rate and even a loading screen, then it would at least be tolerable. A little annoying, but tolerable, and would at least be worth a shot for a very cheap price and a recommendation of a 3 out of 5. But until then, on the Wii U at least, it can be nearly unplayable at times. A 1 out of 5, a frustrating and unfinished game. Believe it or not, I'm still not done nitpicking this game. Switching between the mighty weapons is kind of unintuitive, as it'll either go to one right away, or you have to bring up the menu and select it while in battle. A simple insta-swap with the shoulder buttons would have been nice. How's the Ray DLC content? Well, you keep losing health until you reach one point, but dashing through enemies will refill the red part. It's an interesting concept, but this and one-hit dead mode shouldn't be tried unless you have a steady frame rate or light pain. Hey, you didn't bring up the soundtrack. There was a soundtrack? I could barely hear anything over the sound effects. I could have turned it down in the options, but I can't remember the last time a game made me do that. After listening to it in the editing, it's pretty good techno music. That's all I can really say. Despite being short, Mighty No. 9 does have a number of extras such as challenges and boss rush. I don't have any plans to complete them, but it is nice to know they're there. Much like how they didn't give you a good explanation for your mighty weapons, I feel that they also didn't explain about the cell recovery. I didn't even know about this until I got to the final boss! Man, that would have been helpful about 50 times! I think the most enjoyment I got from playing as Beck was the Mighty Gun Vault bonus I got from back in the game. That one definitely didn't let me down. I'd like to apologize for how long it took me to get this review done. Something important came up, and even when it was over, narrating for this took forever as I had to contain some of that anger, otherwise we would have had nothing but audio spikes. To be honest, it actually felt kinda nice to be doing a negative review again, and I can tell you there's at least 2 more planned in the near future. I was close to giving Mighty No. 9 a 2 out of 5, but I brought out that old tiebreaker system I used, and it went in favor of the 1 recommendation level. Speaking of recommending, it's time to plug a video. So on the topic of Mighty No. 9, here's PSP123's why a Zero Striker Gunvolt is the true Mega Man spiritual successor. It's a well put together opinion video on the comparisons between Gunvolt and Mighty No. 9, and how well each one of them lives up to the legacy of the Blue Bomber. Your editing is quite nice, although the intro parts could have used a little more work, but your narration is far better than your previous videos. A little more emotion would be nice, but you certainly have improved in your tone and the way you end your sentences. Also glad to see someone else know about the whole "it's better than nothing" quote not being accurate. Keep up the good work, and on that note, I need to get back to work on the Kalos list that I hope to have done soon, or even possibly another list. Later, everyone!